friends, welcome back to my channel, and today I decided to share my sketches with you. Of course, before we get started, I do need to get my disclaimers out of the way. First up, I live near a major highway, so you will hear the motor vehicles as they pass. I also live outside of the city, and there's a lot of wildlife where I live. A lot of birds, you will hear them calling, chirping, crying in the background. They're all around me, and I can't help it. And my last disclaimer is my dogs. Right now, they should be asleep, but if someone disturbs them or come near the yard, you will hear them start barking. Now let's get back to our regular scheduled program. Okay, so I have just completed these 3 sketchbooks. This was the first, the second, and the third. I believed I featured these books in a Design My Sketchbook cover episode previously, so you would have seen these, but now these sketchbooks are completed, and I'd like to share them with you. And one more little disclaimer, I am working out a new camera setup. So if the image starts shaking or you start moving, it's because I am trying to work out a new image setup. And that's why the previous episode, or you'll see an episode where the film looked like it's tilted a little bit. But anyway, let me stop my blabbering and get on with the show. Okay. So I want to show you go through my sketchbook and to really show you guys how my art has evolved. Now I won't be showing you every single page in the sketchbook, but I will be showing you some of the highlights. Now I started this sketchbook October 14th, 2018. Now this isn't my first sketchbook, but the first sketchbook hasn't been completed as yet. Now this sketchbook was made with the same pecan watercolor paper, and I just pasted together and I created this little sketchbook. And this is the first image in this. I was trying to do a Huevember challenge and it just went all wrong, as you guys can see. But it's interesting to see how my art has evolved. These pages are for a Inktober challenge. I did Inktober challenge 2018, and this was Jolt and Stretch, and I did these Inktober challenge in these sketchbook. I believe this was made with the watercolor pens. Another Inktober. This was a new character I wanted to make. I call him Robird because he kind of looks like a robot. This is my character. Her name is September. And she has green hair, and I just messed it up. Really, I did. So I had to go back and learn how to draw September. And to end off this book, because I'm going to end it here for this book, this is swatches from the Ohuhu watercolor brush pens that I have. I still trying to figure out how to use these watercolor brush pens because they don't work well on this paper. As you can see, they're nice and bright because I think I use it for this. Yes, Ohuhu watercolor brush pen for this illustration. But for this, I think I tried something different. I used the Milan Aquarelle. So this painting here is painted with the Milan Aquarelle pencils, the same pencils that I will be giving away in a giveaway the same color pencil. And you see how nice and bright this is. And as you guys may guess, this book was finished on December 31st. And this was the first painting I did. I didn't put any illustration. I just wanted to get over the first page sketchbook fear, and I decided to do this little dog. This was a Casey Golden Prompt challenge. She had spy and fighter plane. I had a little someone spying in a fighter plane. Fighter. Why am I saying fighter? It's fighter. This here is from an anti-art block roulette challenge, and what they did is they give you a set of colors and you do an illustration with those colors here, and I believe I completed this challenge. This here was where I tried out the Tamsai Starry Gambi watercolors on black, and how I produced this black shade is that I used the permanent marker and I just marked over it, and then I put the Tamzigami on it, and it worked out perfectly. It was just a piece where this is the first time I tried mixed media, and it came out beautifully. I had some smooth hot press watercolor paper, and I believe I used the Winsor Newton, and I think these were the Marco Raffine coloring pencils. And this is my first mixed media piece. I was so happy to. I'm very good at drawing pears and fruits. And apples. More. This one is interesting. This is from the Crayola watercolor set, and I don't know what happened, but it just gave this effect in this book. It just gives a very cheeky kind of effect, and I didn't like it. Okay, for this picture here, I'm hoping you guys can see it. This picture was made with the Artisticisle watercolor paints. Now, Artisticisle is a handmade watercolor distributor. She does make her own paints, and this picture was made with her paints. I do have the etching for another picture that I made on February 22nd, 2019, but I didn't color it, and that's why you see it like that. I believed I used watercolor pencil to sketch this out. And this is another piece, same day, February 22nd, made with the Artisticisle paints. This piece here, made February 23rd, is done with makeup paints. I think it's makeup paints. It's basically watercolor paints you make from makeup, eyeshadow. And this was the painting that I did. I believe there's a video to that particular session in my library when I did my very own, my paints made from makeup session. This is also paints made from makeup. And this one is testing out a new watercolor tubes that I found in Belize. I believe these are A+. I will see if I could link some of those videos in the description below so you guys could have reference for these, because a lot of times when I do reviews of products, some of them I will do right in my sketchbook, like this one. This is from the A+. Okay, I think this is where my artistic style start coming into its own. I was working out to redrew September in a more simpler style, so that I can play around with her motions and her expressions and her gestures. And so from green here, I gave her purple here, but it wasn't working out. I drew this little monster. Some of these are drawings that I did while traveling. A lot of times, I think from the beginning of this book, were just drawings that I did while I travel. So you'll see me test out colors here. And again, these are the Milan aquarelle paints that I use, because I do use those as travel paint. This was for my 20 days of mermaid challenge. I didn't want to do the full month of mermaid because of all the other challenge I did. I did the April challenge by Bun, and at the end I was feeling a little exhausted, so I didn't want to go through the whole mermaid challenge, so I just did 20 days of mermaid, and it just came out amazingly. It hones in my style. Me drawing a little flower, and this is where my little new characters came to being, the hula sticks. Now if you follow me on Instagram, and I should also pick my Instagram page, my Instagram link in the description below, I developed these new characters and I call them hula sticks. And they're just little stick-like figures, always smiling, but they can bend and go into different directions and have different gestures. I developed the hula sticks because I wanted to learn how to draw with different directions and with different gestures. And I think simple little sticks, you know, with small little faces, no arms, and just feet, it's a very good character in which I can manipulate the gestures and their faces. And a little flower there. More flowers. I didn't think I inked this. This picture was June 25th, and it's kind of amazing. I think you guys saw this also in another video, but you mainly pay attention here. This was where I tested out the Milan floral glass pens, paint pens. And this is where I tested out, and I was like, oh, it can work on paper. Cool. And so I just basically swatched it out and tested how it looks. And I just drew a little flower there. It's kind of cool. This painting here, these are just swatches. Because like I said, whenever I'm working with a product, I like to swatch that product in the sketchbook I'm working with. And this, I believe, was done with the, I think these are the Marco Ruffin. I went on a work trip, and they had this beautiful, serene view of the sea and this little house and the moonlight. It was just a beautiful and serene moment, and I captured it on my phone, my picture. I took a picture of it on the phone, and I just sat down and drew it. I just think it was wonderful. And this one is more closer to home, July 5th. This is where I was trying to test out how to draw braids in or plaits in someone here using the new style that I have developed. This was just a little ballerina that I did. I believe I did this for a hue challenge, but I drew her in here, and I decided I didn't want to color her with watercolors, and I wanted to use coloring pencils instead for that type of challenge. So I redrew her again in a different sketchbook, and it just came out wonderfully. This was another mixed media piece. I believe the watercolors that is underneath this coloring pencil is Winsor & Newton, and these are the color pencils next to me that I used on this. It's $1. This Helix, I went to my local art store, I believe. I don't remember what I was getting there, but I saw this Helix coloring pencils 6 set, and I just thought it is amazing. It cost about $2. I was like, oh, that's nice, I could get that. And so it was nice, and I used it here. This was me trying to work out with gouache. It came out terrible, but it's okay. These are what sketchbooks are for. They're for trying out new techniques and trying out new art product. And so even though this is a complete fail, when I try it again and try it again and try it again, I will succeed. Maybe on the 10th or 20th time, but I will succeed. Right now, I'm still afraid of using gouache. This is me. There was a picture a friend of mine sent me of some tomatoes that she saw in the supermarket. I thought it was amazing. I've tried to draw those tomatoes, and I don't know. She said it's really nice, but somehow I'm not getting it, but I will get it. But I think it came out really wonderfully. These are the tomatoes she saw. And to the end of this book, I just have like I said, I'm trying to work with faces. So I had this 5 facial expression challenge that I did, and I drew 5 different facial expressions. And the beautiful thing about this challenge is you need to stay away from drawing happy. So you can't draw happy, you have to draw. So I drew mad, sad, bored, surprised, and wink, but you can't draw happy. So you can't draw smiling or laugh out loud. You know, you have to draw other expressions. That's the beautiful part about this. And I think it came out wonderfully. I used my character, and the name of my avatar is called September. And as you can see, her hair is no longer green. It's more of a dark color, but it's not necessarily black. It's kind of like between a dark cool gray to a dark warm gray, depending on the environment she's in. It will either be a dark cool gray or a dark warm gray. But that's September. I changed her hair color to dark, and it worked out beautifully. This other page, what I did is, again, trying to work with different people, trying to do different hairstyles, trying to look at different people, just drawing facial expressions, just drawing heads. I put some hand gestures in there because, again, hands and facial expressions are things that I struggle with. So, and I just recently did these, and as you can see, it came out wonderfully. And for the last one here is just a little baby dragon flying, and I used a new art product here too. And after here is just swatches. This is where I swatched out the gouache, and I swatched out different products that I used in this book. So let's see the other book. Oh gosh, this is the final book that I've completed, and this is not watercolor. It's made from the Stylex drawing carton. As you can see, I started the first page with swatches. And the second page here, this is where I did the hue challenge. But the same hue challenge that I did where I drew the ballerina, I attempted it the first time, and this is where I first attempted the hue challenge, and that's why I have the mark in there, because I had to highlight this color. But after a while, I dropped it. This is another picture from the hue challenge. Now this is just a sketch of some flowers that I drew. I was supposed to use it for a comparison, but I didn't do it, so it's just left here. I'm not going to color it. I'm just going to leave it here. And this was a comparison I was going to do it for. This was for the coloring pencils. I think it was for the Prismacolors. I think I did it for the Prismacolors. And you can see I have the Prisma here, the Marco Raffine, the Milan, and the Crayola, how they all compare. Here's more 20 Days of Mermaid. I just started to draw them smaller and put them smaller together. I kind of like this little guy down here, you know, playing with his little fish. I thought that was really cool. Here's another picture from Casey Golden Prompt Challenge. And this one was scarf and wheelchair. The wheelchair. And he's on the scarf. And this was me once again trying to go back to that hue challenge. Orange, red, magenta. I tried it and I failed. And again, the art hue challenge. Here I was trying to draw small so I could put at least 3 on the page. And I kind of like this art style. But then I wasn't really capturing facial expressions how I really wanted to. So I started to develop a new art style, and I did it right here. Again, for the hue challenge. This is a line art. And it was just me I was trying to do the hue challenge, but I just decided to leave it as a line art. I have a rabbit, chameleon, their names. And I have a little dog, a little man on his little horse. I think it came out really rather well. Again, more drawings for the hue challenge. And this picture here, I must say, was there are some pencils that are now popular in the art world where they have 4 different colors in the lead itself. And this particular flower was drawn with those. It was kind of tricky learning how to manipulate that pencil so that you can show one color more dominant than the other. And I was just testing out the use of that pencil here. I think if you follow me on Instagram, you will see this picture up, and it was made with those pencils. This picture here was my testing picture from a collaboration with Anna from Anna's Drawing Channel. I was testing out the Ohuhu with the red ballpoint pen to see how it comes out. And that's, you know, before I made the actual picture. I think the actual picture is similar to this, but I think the hair color is a little different. But this was me testing out first from Anna's Drawing Channel. Here I was trying to test a lineless style. So I drew a little cat and a, you know, looking down at a flower with a bee. And here, this is when I first got the Uniball Signal white pen, and I was testing how opaque the color was and how bright the opacity to the white was. So I just drew a little blue bob, and I had a little housefly in the middle, and he's just a little character. He's so cute. Just trying to see how the opacity to the Uniball Signal white, and if it's something I would enjoy. For this particular picture here, I believe I was testing out a new color pencils. I think these are the Prismacolors, if I'm not mistaken, this picture here. And I liked it, but I didn't want to color it. I think I used this particular picture here as this line art here to test out I believe these were for the Daniel Smith paints. I used this line art here, so I drew it in here and then I just transposed it onto the watercolor paper. And this particular picture here I think I was testing out the Prismacolors on this, and I just took one of the flower here and see how it came out there. So I kind of like it. Again, here I was testing out different kinds of characters. I've never really drew a green character before, so I wanted to see how it looks if I draw a female goblin. I think it came out okay. And I know I could do better, and I know with practice I will do better. But the female goblin came out wonderful. I believe these were colored with Marco Raffine. As you can see, I use a lot of Marco Raffines. Again, testing out different hairstyles. This picture here, again, these are my hula sticks. And this one, I was testing out some liners, some fine liners I bought from my local stationery and art supply store here in Belize. And I was so amazed. This is actually every single color that I got. I think it's only like $2 a pack for those fine liners, and it came with 3 different colors in each pack. And I got 4 packs because those were the 4 different colors they had, and I used every single color for this, and it just came out beautifully. I was so amazed. This little fish, I was just trying to experiment with fish, and I just leave it as a line art. Sometimes I do things like that. Just like, see, leave as a line art. Here I was swatching out these to see how they looked, see how they blend. They don't really blend as much, so I could work with it. Let me see, these are just swatches. This, I'm trying to see if I could use this as a new character. You probably will see this in your thumbnail. And the last picture here is this picture. I believe I used the, were these used using the Caran d'Ache? I think these were used with the Caran d'Ache. And this is the final page to this sketchbook. No, it's not. This is. Yeah, this is the final page, and I think I used this here to color this, just to see how it looks and how this paper holds up to watercolor mediums. And it held up pretty. It did a little warping, but other than that, it held up pretty good. So I can use mixed media in this. I just have to be very light with the watercolor. And guys, that's it. I just finished 3 sketchbooks. The first ever sketchbook I ever have is still not finished. Let me show you my first ever sketchbook. You guys are gonna laugh when you see this. Okay guys, this here is my first ever sketchbook. This chunky boy right here. My first ever sketchbook. The sketchbook I have ever put, not even the sketchbook, the first one I put together, the first one overall. And this sketchbook was made with Bristol boards. What I did is I took some Bristol board, cut them up rather crudely, and I went to the local stationery and art supply store, and I asked them to bind it for me with plastic binding. And so this is just a sketchbook filled with different colors of Bristol board. Here there is white, and I think I'm almost finished with the white. Yeah, but it's not completed yet. And then I have this light tan yellow light color, and then there's this color here that I have in here, and then this color, and then I have some black Bristol board in here, and finally some blues. And it's not completed yet, but this is my first ever sketchbook. And I started this sketchbook when I first decided to get into arts and illustrations, and the first drawing I ever did when I decided to get into art and illustration was this little doggy here. My husband thinks he's cute, but that's against my husband. But I know I could probably draw this little doggy better. I am hoping that when I get to the sketchbook, which intimidates me, I think this will be the first picture in that sketchbook. When I get to the sketchbook that intimidates me, and I think this is a good time to show you that. Let me show you that. The sketchbook that intimidates me is, yes, Happy Birthday Me. Yeah, an Eloyd. And you can see it's still in the plastic wrapping. You can see the light reflections and all that. It's still in the plastic wrapping. This, I am scared of this sketchbook. Because I know, like I said previously, sketchbooks is the place where you do your mistakes, and so you hone in on your art skill. But honestly, I feel in my mind's mind that if I put anything in this sketchbook, it has to be near perfect. So I am terrified of this sketchbook. I don't want to put a bad drawing in this sketchbook. You guys can let me know below if I am being weird, but that's just how I feel. I really don't want to put a bad drawing in this sketchbook. And for that reason, I'm going to continue using these handmade put together sketchbooks that I did. As you can see, yeah, I started using this little one. I think I've already featured these already in a previous video, and I put together this one. Since my watercolor sketchbooks are all finished, I need to put another one together, and so I have it. What I did, I put rubber bands so that it can stay together, and these rubber bands are stapled to the back of the sketchbook so they can stay together. It's cool, huh? So I could keep my sketchbook together, just like the sketchbook here. He has a nice little band to keep it together. Well, I have my rubber bands. And then I have my little leaflet here in case I want to use markers in my sketchbook, so I don't mess up the other page. I already have my little leaflet taped here, so I think I'm going to mess up in these before I touch this, because I really don't want to put a bad art in this sketchbook. I really don't want to do it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. That's all we have the time for today. Thank you so much. As you can see, it is a journey. Art is a journey for me, and I am so appreciative that you have decided to come along with me on this journey, see how my art is progressing, and maybe someday I think I'll be worthy enough to put art in this sketchbook. At the time, I don't feel like I'm literally having an anxiety attack just thinking about what art to put in this sketchbook, because I really don't want to touch it until I think I'm worthy enough to put art in it. Maybe I'm just on the top of my head, but I'm just freaking out. But thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I am so appreciative, and continue just sending your blessings and your love my way, and the same way I'm going to send my blessings and love your way. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.